Hey everyone! So it turns out the entire launch roster of Street Fighter 6 has been leaked online, and as one would expect, Capcom apparently played very safe once again by bringing back mostly characters from Street Fighter 2, with a few notable exceptions of course. This particular leak is quite convincing, so unless Capcom decides to change something at the last minute, I would say the cast is pretty much set in stone. However, this does not include the initial DLC Fighters, and with so many popular choices from other entries of the franchise left behind, we can probably expect a few of them to be announced soon after the game is released. You guys know I like to give my 2 cents about this thing, so here's my list of the top 10 choices for Street Fighter 6 DLC characters. A lot of this takes into consideration who I believe the community wants to see, but I'll balance this with a few opinions of my own. As much as I would like to have all my favorite characters, we do need others to be excited about the game too. The more people playing, the better for everyone, right? Obviously, I won't be able to make everyone happy, so feel free to list your own opinions in the comment section. Bonus points if you stick to 10 characters, since the hard part is not narrowing who you want to see, but figuring out who to leave behind. Oh, also, we're gonna have to do this in 2 parts. I got a little too excited talking about some of these characters, and I think the video might be a little too long for some people. So instead, let's cover the first 5 characters now and finish this list next week with the top 5. So without further ado, in number 10, I have not exactly one character, but a whole category of fighters. That's right, it's the return of my request for a rival schools character, as it's almost tradition by now. One would think that Akira's presence in Street Fighter V would finally shut me up, but damn it, I demand a 3rd entry in the Rival Schools franchise and I'm not giving up on the dream. The more people fall in love with those characters, the better the odds that Capcom decides to give this classic 3D franchise another go, so I'm always happy to see they haven't been entirely forgotten. It's true that being a veteran gas fighter doesn't exactly guarantee your game gets another sequel, I mean Morrigan will surely attest to that, but it probably helps. Besides, when it comes to Rival Schools and Street Fighter, we're not even talking about guest appearances since both franchises are connected. If you think about it, there's really nothing in the way of seeing more Rival Schools characters making a return. Given the fact that Street Fighter 6 finally explores the world after Third Strike, many characters from Rival Schools would have to appear with a new design, and that could be very interesting to see. But who should it be? Well, I think Capcom was very smart to pick Akira as the first one, since she has by far one of the most memorable designs. Moving forward, we could simply see her again, sure, but I think it could also be pretty cool to let someone else have a chance to shine. We do want people to fall in love with more characters if we hope to see a sequel, not just Akira. I'm not too picky here, there's tons of great choices. Perhaps Patsu, who was already in Tatsunoko vs Capcom, maybe Kyosuke, who even fought against many Street Fighter characters in Capcom vs SNK 2. How about someone new like Roy, Kyoko, or my personal favorite choice, Ran Hibiki? There's tons of options and they're all good, so if any of them appear, you can be sure I'll be super happy. Number 9 now, and it's my number 2 girl in Street Fighter V, Falke. You know, picking a fighting game character isn't always easy. Sometimes you like someone's design, but simply can't make their gameplay work for you. That was true for me and Laura, for example. Other times, however, you immediately click with a character and begin to feel very comfortable playing them. That was my experience with Falke, who I've been playing consistently from the beginning, way before she even got a ton of buffs to help her compete. Honestly, I'm surprised more people don't agree with me. From the simple controls to good long-range options that include a very low projectile and great V-triggers, Falke is just fantastic. Considering her questionable popularity though, I had very little hope to see her again, but now that, according to the leaks, Ed will be in the game, well, let's just say my hopes soared to new heights. If you're not aware, both Falke and Ed were experimented on by Shadaloo, and when he decided to escape, he took her with him. They live as siblings, both part of the Neo Shadaloo, an organization Ed created to find and help others that were also victims of Shadaloo's experiments. We don't know Ed's story in Street Fighter 6 so far, but wherever he is, Falke can't be far behind. So there's probably a ton of story reasons to why she would reappear. I for one hope that happens. Number 8 is Remy from Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Remy was a character added to Third Strike that shares Gaio's gameplay style. He has his own version of Sonic Boom that hits high or low, Light or Virtue, and a flash kick called Raising Rage Flash. Even his one unique move, Cold Blue Kick, later inspired Guile's Strike Eagle in Ultra Street Fighter 4's Omega mode. Visually, Remy resembles KOF's Yori Agami, which might have something to do with his popularity. He's definitely got some fans, even if competitively, Remy was only a low tier. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. I've gone on record multiple times saying we won't be seeing Remy again so soon, that his only chance, if he even has one, will have to be as a late DLC, perhaps a few years down the road. Quite frankly, even I'm surprised to see his name here. However, a lot has changed since I made those predictions, and the more I think about it, the more it makes sense that this would be the right time for Remy to return. First of all, like I said, the story is finally moving past Street Fighter 3, so we get to see what those characters have been doing ever since. And you know who completed his journey in that game? That's right, Remy. Last we saw him, like Sensei as Yoga, Remy overcame his past and was ready to face his own future, letting the body of his deceased sister sink into the depths of the sea. Therefore, from now on, Remy's path is a blank page and Capcom can do pretty much anything with it. It could be interesting to see what kind of person he becomes and where his journey would take him. If they want to be cheeky, they can even borrow another storyline from a different manga character. The second reason, and let's be honest here, my biggest reason, is that the Street Fighter 6 visuals just seem to match Remy's to me. There's a lot of urban influence in the menus, logos and stages, with graffiti and neon in some cases. Even the select screen in the builds shown so far is one of the coolest I've ever seen and seems to scream Street Fighter 3 to me. So while I'm not sure I could see Remy in SF5, the more I see Street Fighter 6, the more I can imagine there. Sure, he would probably go through a few changes, but I can finally start to see the potential here. Can you? Number 7 is a weird one, Necro. Like Remy, Necro also made his debut in the Street Fighter 3 series, but he was there since the beginning in New Generation. He's a Russian with the ability to stretch his limbs like rubber and create electrical currents throughout his body, a result caused by genetic experiments inflicted on him by the Secret Society. These experiments also gave Necro, or Ilya as he was known before, his mutated body, making him one of the weirdest Street Fighter characters ever. Like Fang or 12, he's probably one of those that you either love or hate, depending on how you feel about strange fighters. Necro's story was very much connected to Street Fighter 3, so like Remy, his appearance here would allow people to see what's next for him. As far as we know, he's still on the run from the Secret Society with his girlfriend, Effie, who was rescued in New Generation and started to follow him in Third Strike, even imitating some of his actions. Probably most people only see Necro as Street Fighter 3's Dhalsim, or perhaps a fusion between Dhalsim and Blanka, but that really isn't very accurate. Yes, he can stretch his limbs and has some electric attacks, but Necro certainly has his own playstyle that sets him apart in pretty significant ways. For starters, he's much more combo oriented, actively wanting to fight mid and close range battles. He can apply a lot of pressure and has good tools to getting close. It looks like a lot of people were advocating for Necro to appear in Street Fighter 6 instead of Dhalsim, but if the leak list is to be believed, and probably is, the Yoga Master will once again return. However, as we discussed, Necro and Dhalsim are far from the same character, so perhaps the fact that they could both be in the same game is even better, as it would finally make people see that for themselves. And in number 6, completing the first part of my list, it's Fei Long. Yes, of course Fei Long is on the list. I even mentioned him before in my previous video when I was trying to predict the launch roster of Street Fighter 6. It looks like I got that part wrong, but I still feel like he needs to be in the game. How could he not be? Fei Long is simply too recognizable, if not for the character, then for being inspired by the legendary Bruce Lee. I mean, surely Capcom wants their characters to be appealing to as many people as possible, and here you have a tried and tested formula for success. And if nostalgia still plays such a huge factor in deciding the roster, considering we once again have most of the classic Street Fighter 2 cast reunited, well, Fei Long has some of that too. Granted, he wasn't in World Warrior, but like DJ and Cammy, he was in Super, and unlike DJ, he actually managed to be in the console launch version of Street Fighter 4. As for gameplay, Fei Long has his classic Shen Kyaku, which works pretty much like a Shoryuken, so it's immediately recognizable to new players. There's also the Rekaken, a sequence of repeated punches that is so immensely iconic that it even coined the term Reka to refer to similar techniques in any fighting game. Oh, and it doesn't hurt that Fei Long tends to be a highly competitive character in most of his appearances. Now, I wouldn't cover this part, but since someone mentioned in one of my streams a rumor that we will never see Fei Long again because Bruce Lee's family is against it, I'm pleased to tell you that they have since gone on record disproving that theory. So Fei Long to me is a great fit for Street Fighter 6. Now that the current build added battle damage, we can even take inspiration from some of Bruce Lee's classic movies and recreate similar injuries on Fei Long, like we saw in one of his alternate costumes in Street Fighter 4. He doesn't quite make top 5 anymore, but we'll look at those characters next week. What about you? Who would you like to see as a DLC character for Street Fighter 6? Let me know your opinions below. Please like and share this video if you enjoyed the content, and I'll be back next week with the conclusion of my list. Meanwhile, if you're up for it, you can click in one of the boxes that is seen on the screen to check some of my other videos. For now, this has been Educate Me Player, and I'll see you guys later.